Song number 4 is Pay for the Weekend.
Or as Eve calls it, Weekend?
Weekend? Yeah, so this song, I feel like we talked about it on one of the podcasts already, but the lyric I wrote, no joke, while I was doing yoga. It was right when we had moved to LA, and I was doing yoga, trying to stay in shape, and I had the phrase "pay for the weekend" come to my head, because I had that. So it was at the time that song by the band with Jonas Brother, DNCE or what dance, the Cake by the Ocean or something, and just like it was this stupid phrase that they turned into a hit song, And so in this sort of same vein, the phrase "pay for the weekend" came to me, and then while I was stretching, I was thinking of the words in my head, and then I wrote them on an iPhone note afterwards, and it just kind of sat on my phone for a while. Then driving around one day, I had this synth sound in my head and sort of a riff that went, and that's all I had. It was just for some reason going in my head, so I went and try to program what I was thinking, and it turned into this shuffly, almost Ethiopian groove, where I saw somebody on Twitter mention this, or somebody's talking about clapping on 1 and 3, like normally you try and get people to clap on 2 and 4 because that's the cool sort of swingy way to do it, but there's a lot of African rhythms where they clap on the downbeat, and it's way fucking cool in my opinion. So it's a sort of chuggy, stompy rhythm.
This rhythm again is a lot of that egg roll thing that we've talked about, and it's not just Ethiopian, or it's like more specific than Ethiopian music. It's Eritrean or northern Ethiopian, which I know that's probably is a very contested question because there's been wars between Ethiopia and Eritrea for a long time, but it's called Tigrigna music, I believe. And there's some really amazing shit out there on an album called Ethiopeaks Volume 6 or 11 or 5. It's the one with the green cover. And that rhythm and that album is one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, there's a couple versions of Tezeta on that, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody does a version of that. And the word means nostalgia, which is funny because of...
It's like saudade.
Saudade, yeah. It's a similar feeling to the Portuguese music that's always talking about saudade or saudade. It's a kind of like longing or missing nostalgia.
See, there are a lot of music that we listen to, or a lot of this type of stuff has that. It's a form, basically, that everyone uses to tell kind of the same story and convey the same emotion, because in like Greek music, Zembekiko music, it's all very similar. They're using similar rhythms. It's often talking about the same things.
It's like like traditional old Delta blues almost.
Yeah, it's just like they're not interested in necessarily inventing some brand new wheel. It's just a way to express your feelings with a given form. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting way of doing things because it's not all, and that's something like in terms of playing. Occasionally it is nice to just play something that everybody knows, like, and we can all agree upon, like the blues. Or if you walk into a jazz club and they're having a jam session, everyone can agree on like 15 songs. Everybody knows. We don't have to think about what happens now. Yeah. Have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, it's basically a drone all the way through. The harmony is also Ethiopia influenced, and I can trace back. Remember that van tour that we did in 2014?
Yeah.
Before. Right when Come With Me Now was sort of blowing up.
St. Louis?
Yeah. We went and a van broke down. We finally got the van back, and it was like 10 p.m. We found a restaurant that was open. It was an Ethiopian restaurant. And we went and ordered this food and kept ordering more and more sambusas, which is like a fried lentil pie. And we're still hungry. Like, can we order more pies? And the guy's like, no, you don't need more. It's like, what are you talking about? We'll eat them. We want to order these pies. But it was pretty much empty, but there was a couple like either regulars or family friends eating there, and they were playing this music, and they got up and danced, and it was a guy called Abraham Afwerki, who's an Eritrean singer, and we'd never heard that rhythm before, any of us, I think, and we all just said, what the fuck is that? And it was so cool, and we asked for the name and later looked it up, so That definitely years later played into the treatment of this song.
Yeah, we don't do it often. Ethiopian food now is kind of like how I used to be about Indian food when I was a kid. Whenever someone would suggest to go eat Indian food, I never wanted to go. And then we'd go, and I was like, oh, I love this. Yeah. And then you'd say again, let's go. And I feel like I'm like that way with Ethiopian food now, because in L.A. there's a not massive, but there's a big part of town called Little Ethiopia with tons and tons of Ethiopian restaurants and bars and shops and everything. And it's great food. And I'm always like, I don't feel like going. And then I go and I say, why don't we do this every week?
Lyrically, it's about karma. It's a party song about karma, about paying for everything comes and goes in a cycle and has an expense. That's all I need to say about that.